Okay, welcome to the Enhanced Perception podcast. This is Ike Onoha, and today we have a wonderful guest. It's been a while to get this man to come and sit down with us and share some ideas, thoughts, and some wonderful, amazing information that will blow you away. But anyways, before we get into that, Dr. Vincent is a world-renowned dentist. He's an amazing guy. He has credentials up to the sky, so he will do us justice by introducing himself exactly how you want our audience to know you. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me here, Ike. It's an absolute pleasure to have an opportunity to share some of those thoughts and hopefully some valuable information for the listener who are interested in getting the fantastic, natural-looking, brilliant smile, which is what has been a passion of mine. And I do want to share that my passion has been to create the smile a lot more than anything else. And originally, I found a very interesting opportunity to work in dentistry as I was originally born and raised and studied in Switzerland. And then I had a moment of realization. And that realization was very unique because as I was finishing my studies, I got into a very bad car accident, which I was supposed to not make it, actually. So after a couple of weeks, finally came back from a long coma and realized that my body was not working anymore. And it made me realize that life is not forever, and it is time to not just talk about it, but make some very deep, profound reasoning and appreciate life and do things that will be part of finding your passion for life and your passion to help and your passion to be successful. It became my new agenda, my new culture, and I decided to move and go to more opportunities in other countries where the smile and the facial features were very much in demand than a conservative country like Switzerland. I came here to the US in 1984, and I was working with different people, doing different things, and I got involved with private practice. I got involved with laboratories. I've got involved with companies in the dental field that started to look at some of my ideas and thoughts and became involved in lecturing eventually with some of the university, and I became very much involved in education and sharing with people what I think aesthetic integration is all about. That's what happened quite in a nutshell. And I've been here since 1984, and I have my own office in West Hollywood, 9201 Sunset Boulevard, Vincent Devaud Smile Design Center. If people want to go take a look at it, and what they will find out is that we offer a highly customized treatment option where everything is designed for the patient. It's not a recipe that is repeated.
Excellent. Dr. Vincent, you developed a unique procedure for dental, like aesthetic dentistry, that is very unique. And tell us a little bit, what is this process? What makes it so unique, your process?
That's a very good question. And it's interesting. Things happen sometimes not always the way how you want. And in my particular case, because I was really interested in the smile, I was working with different dentists at the time as a master technician. And I became so involved in that became really a passion of mine. And I was looking at some of the work that was done, and I thought it could have been done better. Why is it so monochromatic, meaning no translucency, no attention to detail? It didn't really strike me as being natural looking. So it became my quest to start thinking about creating nature. Perhaps it's a bit much to say that, but emulating nature is a better way to share.
Okay, generally, when someone comes to your office and they want some work done, what process do you calm them down mentally first, or how do you fuse their mindset with the physical outlook that they want to achieve?
I think we live in a world where everything is going so fast, and it's only going faster and faster. For me, it was more of an organic approach, and I decided to build this concept around my physical office, which is patients are welcome to come for consultations. They don't need to feel like I'm going to try to sell them something or whatever. And so they can come and spend 15 minutes, or they can also organize a full consultation, which can take an hour or two.
Is this free consultation or how does that work?
So consultations are usually free up to 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
I can do also on video calls, but there's not much that can be achieved. It's more of a sense of finding out what the patient's concerns are.
So at least in the first 15 minutes, you can get a general idea if they want to take it further. So
Correct.
they come in for a longer consultation.
Yes, they have to feel something, and everybody feels something different. And, the stigma of dentistry is not, in my view, something that people like to talk about. It's a very private, very emotional, difficult subject to talk about. Patients are not really at liberty to share exactly what it is. They're always a little bit on backwards and the defense maybe, and I try to make them feel very comfortable, and I always ask questions. I'm not here to tell them what to do. I'm here to understand from what they're feeling, what they're thinking, what is bothering them, or what is it that they like.
They say the part about a human being that everybody notices, number one thing people notice first is your teeth.
Yes.
But I guess the general public doesn't know this, though, because if we knew that this is the first thing people notice about you, I think we'll pay more attention to making sure we have the best care for our teeth or the structure of our smile. Then your dental arrangement also affects your smile, right?
Yes, this is a very loaded question. And one's self-perception is not necessarily the right one. And it's important to understand that there are different degrees, like in anything in life. You can go to a restaurant and have just a basic meal for a basic price, and you can go for a nicer restaurant, or you can go to a very fine dining restaurant. But when it comes to teeth, same with hair and fashion, cars, anything really. You have designers, and you have the more normal store that is more price-driven. And then you have secondhand clothing. So people have to make a decision, an informed decision on what it is they're really looking for. But what I always stress to the patient is that a smile is staying for decades, unless there is like an accident or there are other contributing factors that limit the longevity of the smile, which could be health-driven or whatnot. But why not putting yourself in a position where you optimize your smile, where it looks absolutely gorgeous, it looks natural, and people will always say, oh my God, you have such a beautiful smile. So women, as a general consensus, are a lot more aware of that, of the facial beauties and the body beauty. But you cannot get all of that with everyone, because this is an art form, and that's what I'm here to share with you today.
I see. Basically, are you saying that women are more conscious of their teeth, take care of the teeth more than men?
Women definitely are, yes. I had a patient who came with his wife a long time ago, and he had a brown tooth right in the middle of his face, which was a central, and it was brown. And this man was smiling away, and he was an attorney, and his wife did this amazing case together. And she's at the end of the reveal, when she came to take the final photos, she came with him, and which is something I always recommend, to bring your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your family member, somebody that you care for a second opinion. Don't come alone. It's about feeling. It's about emotional intelligence, something we don't talk about in dentistry as we should. And we should slow down. As I mentioned earlier, everything is going faster and faster. It's not how quick we can turn a smile. It's how beautiful and how we can optimize it. And this is a completely different philosophy. So the lady, my patient, asked her husband, she says, what about your tooth on the front? And he looked at her and he says, nobody cares. They all know me with that brown tooth, and I don't want to spend money. Yes, I think, generally speaking, I think women are a lot more keen and aware to maintain their beauty than men. Men are more logical. Not all, of course, as a general thoughts. I would say that's the consensus. But again, we live in a society where I think everything is about beauty. It's about workout. It's about eating correctly. It's about having a healthy lifestyle. For those people who are looking into that, and there are people who are doing the exact opposite, which is fine. It's also, I think a smile also creates the opportunity to exemplify who you really truly are. And this is what we do. We don't just make a smile quickly and put it in within 2 weeks. it's a hit and miss, and there's more miss than hit. It's a lot more complex to do it correctly. Integration is the key here.
I hear everything you're saying, and that is very true. That is very insightful. What would you say? There was a case of a friend, let me just say a friend, okay, that had some facial work done and jaws and things done. They have maybe an experience from that event that affects their smile now, and they cannot smile better. So how can you differentiate people that do good work and people that just want to take your money? How can you inform people or find these good people that will give you real good work?
Again, I think this is a very important question here because a lot of people, when I meet them in social events or parties or professionally, they don't really know how to answer that. When I ask people, do you like your dentist? Because they realize that I do smile designs and all of that. And they're like, I love my dentist. And I'm like, that's fantastic.
Okay.
That's the first thing you want to do is you want to love, you want to connect with your dentist. Male or female, that's wonderful. Being insightful is another one, which I think patients are not necessarily understanding, and they should really spend some time, which is it's a journey. And you don't go to someone because somebody told you to who has no experience in dentistry. So all of these decision-making are usually driven by one thing and one thing only, which is fear. And it's about comfort. What I don't want to deal with it, but I trust my friend. It's emotions versus facts. Facts are very important. So my recommendation to anyone who is looking for a smile is to, first of all, do some research, ask for before and after, look at how they approach it, and ask also what is the time length and if they are going to be able to have a preview on the smile. And often you don't have that opportunity. A preview is a personalized smile design that can be placed on top of the existing teeth. Sometimes, if you are a candidate for that, as a preview that can be very quickly done so the patient can see if this is something that triggers positive emotions. And they know it right away. They don't need to think it or whatnot. And if they do, which can happen, that means it's not the right thing. So we have tools that are available to us. And again, this is not a speed game. This is trying to get into the psyche of the patient. And on that note, there's a lot of events that need to be considered. It's really complicated, but it's on the end of the road, which is not that much longer, actually. It's a lot more joyful and serving to the patients.
You said there's three things that people need to ask their dentist. I just want to bring some emphasis to these three things. The first one is ask for before and after photos of patients that they have treated.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
That work that they've done. And number two, what labs are you using?
So there are different laboratories that you can use, which is what I've been specializing in, really. And there is different knowledge base. And there's artistry associated to it versus less artistry. So the price of a veneer or a crown or anything like that, it's first of all, we need to be conservative. That's my original approach. And to really see if the patient is a good candidate for something like that or not. And then depending on where they are, because I have patients coming from different places, sometimes they need to find another specialists that work with them on those kind of cases. To answer your question, it is important for the patient to ask those questions and to see how much time the doctor is going to spend with you. A lot of times, doctors don't have much time because they have to run from one place to the next. And it's just the way how the culture and the philosophy of the business is, which is fine. But I would say if a patient's going to spend a large amount of time and money and something that they don't really know, I think before you go to the final, there are different approach, and those approach are very important. I would also point out that the fee of the doctor is very important, and I would say, hey, to all the patients out there who are interested in a smile, but they're perhaps a little bit resilient or not ready to do that until something, they're looking for something. And that something usually is, oh, I love his smile, or I love her smile. Who is your dentist?
Oh, like a testimonial.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. But did you say something, fear of the doctor? What was the third thing out of the questions that you asked your dentist?
It's also finding out if they are going to show you some cases that they've done. It's an opportunity for the patient to review if they connect with the aesthetics. A lot of times I have patients who have had treatment by somebody else, and they're coming back to me, they find me, and they ask me, what would you do? And I ask them, what is it that you don't like? And it's usually color, form. They didn't know, and they didn't have much time to make a decision when the case was prepared. So it's all in a matter of slowing down and making sure you take your time to look at it and, make sure that you accept the work. So there are different areas of applications. And in my office, what we do is we work with different specialists, and we make sure that each step is driven by what the patient desires, and not only the desire, but also a capacity that we can work with. Sometimes we have limitations because of anatomical reasons. Then you have another thing that is happening is how much time the doctor is going to spend with you to really try to understand what it is you do. Often I work with dentists who send me the patients, and I discuss those venues with the patient, and then I share that with the dentist. So that way there is no loss.
When you say you share that with the dentist, so you're like a teacher, coach, or?
So my specialty is master ceramics, master smile design specialist. I've been basically like focusing on those issues, and my practice is in West Hollywood, and we're doing very well. We have all kind of patients coming in, patients who do not want to have certain things done a certain way. No, I do not treat the dentist clinically per se. I work with them, and I also work with a range of different specialist dentists that do beautiful conservative preparations. I put together a team. It's the way how I feel we can convey better results.
I see. Smile design specialist, that is unique part of dentistry, right? A branding.
It is and it isn't. It is, but it is a poor branding.
Is that a poor branding?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. And here's the reason why. Because smile design is like an envelope of thinking. It's not necessarily what that is. You have to look at each patient in a unique way. And each patient has different physicality, different history, different anatomy. It's the facial features of each patient are unique. They have lips. Sometimes they have higher lips. Sometimes they have lower lips, thicker lips, thinner lips. So all these things need to be taken care of, and we have to also work sometimes with plastic surgeons and talk about certain things. Instead of going from one place to the next, organize facial treatment is what I try to do, convey different ideology. And then the patient is aware of it, and I help the patient kind of organize it. But the clinical side of it, it's what they do with the specialist. So it's what we would call in dentistry interacting with different people, and that's what we do.
So it is a team. How often do most dentists consult or conference or talk to other plastic surgeons in doing dentistry? Is that common?
No, it's very uncommon. Good question.
Wow.
So it's very uncommon because they all work in the same area. One is working on the lips and the skin. The other one is working as a doctor, and that's okay. They all work. But I think it would be better approach to engage with a team of people to optimize the patient outcome and results.
Oh, wow. It does make a lot of sense. I know some people that have had bad experiences in their plastic surgery. I guess if there was that kind of communication going on prior to treatment, that would not have happened. A plastic surgeon would not go past a certain boundary to disfigure or make the patient smile not function. Like I'm talking about people that don't smile anymore because of that event.
Sadly, it's what I see a lot of. And the reason why it's because, as I said earlier, we live in a society where everything goes faster and faster and faster. Faster is good when you feel like going fast, but your smile should not go fast. It's a study of facial feature. It's emotional. We have the tools to optimize lip support. What does it mean? It means in some cases, we can do facial advancement with the teeth, but we have to have the vision and the understanding. And this is where I come in, and I work with different dentists who do different things to optimize it based on budget and based on best outcome.
Right.
So it's more interaction between different specialists. We talk a lot about the cases. We don't just refer and say, come back when you're done. We have a vision. It's like an architect who works in the blueprint, which is what we do. And so all of that is driven from the aesthetic perspective from me, usually, with the patient. So we empower the patient to be in the driver's seat of the new smile. And I'm like the co-pilot telling them, slow down here, big curb. And then there is a process, and the process needs to be done where the patient understands and the patient signs off on it. Say, I love the way how you did my provisional. So we do a rehearsing sometimes treatment. So what does it mean? To your point earlier, a patient comes and hates the way how the teeth works. They're not in the teeth business, but they know there's something wrong. What's going to happen to them is usually they end up behind the camera or behind people when the camera is facing them. They don't smile anymore. A lot of time, men are growing mustache.
Growing mustache?
Yeah.
So they would prevent or hide their smile?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes. Again, it's emotionally driven. Or they will speak, but they will learn how to control the muscle of the upper lip so it doesn't show. It will eventually have some profound effect psychologically to them, male or female. Female don't grow mustache, but you know my point. They can also cover their smile with the hand as they speak. So there is different forms of abstractions and coverage.
Settling.
Yeah.
Wow.
When that happens, often the patients forgot how they looked. And there's a process of discovery that becomes very interesting. And it's all about the study of facial features, the study of how the lips are positioned facially when the patient smiles, when the patient talks, when the patient laughs. And there's videos that are taken. We are creating a dynamic folder of information. Lip movement in relationship to the teeth. Are the teeth too short, too long? Are they too far in? Are they crooked? What is happening? We have to create a mathematical order of logic for treatment. And then we bring the different dentists, because it's not just about one dentist. Often it can be driven with orthodontics before, so it's more conservative tooth changes with veneers, placing the teeth correct. Sometimes it's surgery. It can be oral surgery. Sometimes it can be tissue, which it's soft tissue versus hard tissue, which is bone. Soft tissue is gingiva, right? So we work with all of these different people, and the person who does all of that would be the restorative dentist, and I would basically guide certain principle and make suggestions to the team to optimize it, because I look at it not only from that perspective, but I look at it from a human, a facial perspective.
Wow. Now, what you're saying, is that what people get when they come to your office for consultation? Or you have a team?
Yes.
I didn't know this is that involved.
Yes, I do usually meet with them, and there's something that I've learned a long time ago, is less is more. And I always thought it was paraphrasing and interesting.
Cliche, yeah.
Cliche, exactly. And in my case, I think it's very important to put yourself in a space where you can really focus on one patient and not 10 million patients. It's all done based on very emotional moments. And some are less emotional, some are not emotional, but there's emotion and patients are typically not aware of it. And that's why when I see smile reveal, where the patient comes to us and we have different specialists together, we can do it at the dentist office or anywhere that is comfortable for them in a clinical setting. And what we do is we create a smile on top of the existing teeth, for instance, if that's the appropriate way to do it. Then we make a mold on the front of it. We place that in the patient's mouth with provisional material. We wait for 2 minutes. We remove it, and there's now a new smile, a new proposal. It's called smile reveal. So what happens there? Tears. Tears comes right out. Equal emotions or nothing. But then patient will start speaking nonstop. And it's always interesting to see how each patient responds. My wife, for instance, had that done and a long time ago. And when I did the reveal, she looked at me and she starts smiling, and she looked at herself in the mirror, and all of a sudden she started laughing. So everybody's response is different, and we can learn from it. This is a very important part of driving a successful aesthetic treatment.
This is amazing. I mean, there's just so much depth to this conversation that we're just hitting all kinds of places. It's looking like you should have a reality TV show. That's one of the thoughts.
Man, that would be fun.
Or we have write a book or something called The Psychology of a Smile.
Yes.
So a lot of things are just going in my head while you were talking. And I guess basically we need to get this message out or inform the public, which is what I guess you are educating and as well as informing people that are ignorant or just not aware of the possibilities out there that they can get more for their money or for their what they desire. There's actually people that can give them what they need or want.
I think the patient can actually drive a lot of those services by just mentioning to the dentist, this is really what I want. And if your dentist tells you, absolutely not, I'm not doing that, I don't practice this way, then that's your way to decide if you want to move forward or not. That's perfectly fine.
That is so true. So true.
You're not forced to do anything. You need to do what your heart tells you. And I appreciate the opportunity today to be here with you. I can share some of these thought process that have been driving my career in a very successful manner. I have patients who are finding me after 25 years, even 30 years. Some of them have had the work done with me, and I was green at the time. And so my goal was not to add more volume of patients and running all over the place. My goal is to focus on the right patient. So that being said, there is also a economic reality to that because it's consultation / recreation. So again, I don't do the clinical part. I do the restorative part, and I work closely with different people, different dentists doing different things, and that's the team approach that is very important. The patients may think, oh my God, that's going to cost me so much. And I always tell the patient, cheap costs more.
Cheap costs more. That is so true, though. I have a different analogy for cheap costs more. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and ask you this next question. If people want to find you, how can they find you? Or if someone is, I want to have an experience with you, what's the best way?
You can go and Google me under Vincent Devaud Smile Design Center. There's patients who have been very kind to write a few testimonials that are quite touching. And it's about getting the information out there. So, you can find me there. You can find me on Instagram, which is Vincent Devaud, DEV, like Vincent, AUD, _ Smile Design. You can see that all my cases are unique because the patient go through that process. It's almost so empowering because the smile, if it's done correctly, will enhance someone dramatically, not just facially, but also psychologically. They will feel a lot more self-confident.
Correct.
Because they know it's integrated. And what's unique about the treatment is that there is steps. So we are not losing track of where we're going. It's very specific. It's not computer-driven. It's all organic. I have to see the patient 3D.
Amazing. Definitely, this has gone directions that I never even thought of, but I think this has been a very informative session with the kind of information that you have given, and with all your experience and skill and knowledge. How open are you to do maybe a webinar where people can ask questions?
I would love that.
We can even have people register for the webinar to ask questions, so the people that want to take this further and not just playing games. You said cheap costs more, right? Okay, this might be a good time to explain what I meant by cheap costs more. Agreeing to what you said, you can either spend a lot of money to have a gourmet cooked food or well-cooked food, or you can go to fast food, right, which is cheap. But in 10 years afterwards, which would have spending more money in having surgery because of the bad nutrition over time. And so the cheap upfront end up costing you more. At the end of the day, that was my story about cheap costs more.
Yeah, for me, my analogy, and you're absolutely right. There's so many analogies you can actually bring up to this podcast, but it's interesting. It's having a roof. I put a roof on my house 32 years ago, and my roof, believe it or not, thanks to this roofer, told me that was the best. And yes, it was expensive, but he told me it's one of a kind. And it's been 30 plus years, and it's still fantastic. And I have many friends who had their roofs redone for a whole lot less, but they keep having water intrusion.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just the roof, it leaks through the house, and then you have black mold and things like that. And where I'm getting at is back to dentistry really, is that this is something that is with you at all time. You wake up in the morning, you look good for men and women, and it generates incredible power. Once you know that your smile is restored to the maximum, and the only way to get there is by getting the patient on board, where they understand, where they get educated as we move forward. And they hear the experts helping them, guiding them, but we let the patient kind of drive this a little bit. And if they need help, we help them, of course. We'll advise them, don't do this because. There is the aesthetic part, but there's also something else which is extremely important, the function of it. Teeth are designed not just to look good. They're designed to help you masticating your food that you ingest into your stomach. And then you have TMJ, which is temporomandibular, where patients have issues with that. So there's a lot of things that are associated to the way how the physical part of the teeth, the anatomy of the teeth, and the position of the teeth are in relationship to the face that can generate all kind of issues, bad sleep, headaches, and so on and so forth. To that point, I just finished a case with a great dentist that works up north, and the lady who came to see us was really a pretty lady. She did not have much lip at all. It was very thin, razor thin upper lip and lower lip. And I looked at her because I do a full conversion formula. It's based on personality, facial features, dynamic of the smile, how the teeth open up and close in terms of the jaw, how the upper lip and lower lip relationship with the teeth are. It's all video. And then I do still picture, which is non-dynamic, which is what I would say most of the dentists are working with. But it's not live. It's good. It's very good, but it's not dynamic.
What is dynamic?
Dynamic means it's movement. The ocean is dynamic. It's moving all the time, and there's no plug. There is something that we need to be able to understand is how the teeth are going to look in a dynamic setup.
That's what I'm saying. How do you distinguish what you do with the dynamic versus the other guys that don't?
So my focus is facial features. I look at a lot of different specific. I look at the nose, and I look at the position of the teeth. I take a different type of measurements, facial. It's all external. I don't go in the mouth. I use golden rule of proportion as a point of reference.
And this is during physical consultation, not over the phone or video or anything,
No,
right? It has to be in person.
Yes. It has to be in order to be efficient.
Okay. You're in Beverly Hills, so people can find you from all over the world, from China, Nigeria, Africa, France, everywhere, right?
Yeah.
You go to people too?
Yeah. I have patients who fly me sometimes
wow.
in their private jet to go see them in other settings, other cities. It's about opening up a universal approach. It's not about me, myself, and I. It's about working together cohesively with the patient. But the patient must be aware that it's not, the doctor is going to go ahead and do the work and then come back in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. This is what is, generally speaking, this is the dynamic of most of the business setup. But for me, it's more you want to have somebody who's going to design your own designer, your high-end designer, your Armani. But it's not somebody who works for him somewhere. It's Armani himself who's going to work. And so it's art. And that's where I'm getting at. It's art.
So you must be very expensive then. I'm just guessing, is everybody accessible to you, or are you only for VIPs and high-end clientele?
That's a good question. Yes, that definitely doesn't get covered. This is all out of pocket. You're absolutely correct. So the design and all of that and consulting is out of pocket. So yes, there is a fee that is associated to this. But I will tell you one thing. To the point of that lady who came to see me, I told her, I think we can definitely improve your facial features and make you look younger.
Wow.
And she looked at me like in disbelief because she was going on a regular basis to get injections. And I told her, let me talk to the different docs and see how they feel. But I think that's something we should be talking about. I brought the thought process, and she had headaches as well. And we worked in different settings, which is too complex to discuss. But the patient ended up going through metamorphosis of her facial features. And I picked the color also with the patient based on very organic point of reference, which
not
is
just white.
No, teeth are not just white. They're complicated. They have beauty. But when you start studying teeth, it's very interesting. It has depth. It has fluorescency. It has translucency. It has mamelons, surface texture, which is the way how the light reflects to it. There are different materials, which are called ceramics. I work with about 13 different sets of ceramics. Why? Because it's like spices. It's having a full spectrum of different color to match the personality, the skin tone, the facial features, and so on and so forth. So I typically propose in some of these cases a custom color as opposed to be a shade guide, which is what we commonly use, which is a great approach. You have this piece with a lot of teeth and they have all numbers, but there's no way you can do what the nature has done. It's a point of reference based on value, which is the level of brightness. Then you have something else, which is called hue, which is, are you on the red hue? Are you on the colder hue, the blue hue? Or are you on the greenish taupe hue? And then there's the chroma, which is the level of warmth associated to that. That's a point of reference. It's basic. It's like, okay, it's green, it's blue. But then you have to start creating a unique approach with a unique formula. And there is multiple layer that goes into it.
You know what? I can talk to you about dentistry and teeth and the mouth. And I knew this could be this interesting because I can tell you have the passion for what you were talking about. And that's another way that you can tell that someone is the real deal because you're passionate. The way you're talking about the teeth is just like you making music. It's like Mozart or who's that great painter? Michelangelo, right? That's how you talk about dentistry. Yeah. I'm just trying to be mindful of your time. How do you feel?
Well, I think the idea that you proposed earlier is a good one, which is to create a podcast, maybe with people that can interact. I think that would be terrific because I think, quite frankly, the reason why I came here today is because I love the medium. I think you're a terrific person.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for giving me this opportunity to share some of my limited knowledge. And yes, it's a passion of mine. Again, it's focusing on creating something that belongs to someone. And I see so many wonderful people who are getting something done, but it doesn't look natural, and it's okay. I would like to make sure that people start to think about it differently. If somebody wants to do something white, they should ask the dentist, can you show me what kind of white? And so I do white where the patient can actually take it home. It's custom, and they can review it with their husband, their wife, their boyfriend, their girlfriend, et cetera, but there is no pressure. And then they need to say, okay, look on the different lights outside during the day, under sunshine, at night where you are at home, put it underneath your lip. It has a little handle and see how you like it. Until they're totally on board, as opposed to take those colors that are a basic thing. So yes, I think a lot of people are resilient and concerned about getting a smile makeover, which is what I do.
What I was thinking was, we can do something called a smile makeover challenge. We can do a challenge. We can do one of two ways. We can either do a challenge where our listeners and our audience, based on whose picture transformation or stands out the most, they get to win something, maybe get a free makeover at the end of the day. Or we do it the other way around, where we do a challenge where you have to be part of this group, like a select group, like a closed group to do the challenge. We'll brainstorm on it more to see what's more effective, what's more valuable to our listeners, and what can reach more people. In case, I don't know, if money is an issue for some people, this might be your opportunity to win a whole makeover. Who knows? That might happen. All right?
On that note, I can tell you that I do a pro bono case each month, and I've done it for a different group of people who cannot afford dentistry. I've done it with different specialists. And we've done it for people who were living on the street. We've done it for people who served as military, who were retired military. We've done it for battered women. We've done it for children.
So how can people get that pro bono? How does it work?
So the way how it works is actually pretty simple. They would have to go online and make contact with my office, and then they can come for a complimentary consultation.
Okay.
Back in the consultation process, the first 15 minutes is complimentary. And after that, they can choose, not for them, but for patients in general, they can choose if they want to go ahead and do more or not, and we'll take it from there. But I don't do more than 10, 15 minutes at first. But that's a good way of being analytic and find out if there's a fit, see how they feel. Patients have to start thinking about, I need to feel good. I need to feel good about dentistry. And a good dentist should not hurt you too much, if any, and it should be a pleasant thing. I know it sounds awful, but dentistry doesn't sound like a pleasant thing, but I came to realization that dentistry can be fun if it's done correctly.
We can make dentistry sexy again.
I don't know about that, but we can try. That's quite a challenge right there.
It's been a pleasure having you, Dr. Vincent Devaud. Did I say that correctly? Devaud.
Yes, Devaud, Devaud. It's French.
Amazing how we connected. We connected in different circumstances, but one thing I liked your energy when I met you, your vibration. Now it makes a lot of sense putting everything together that you're not just concerned about the physicality. You're also concerned about the psyche, the mind science, because that's something I am very big on.
Yes.
I enjoy stuff like that. I can talk about the mind all day long and how science and the mind mix together. The psychology or the neuroscience of things. I enjoy those kind of things, and that's primarily what enhanced perception is all about. Because when you enhance your perception, that's basically you becoming enlightened. And see, that's what knowledge does for people. Like all the stuff you're talking about, informing people, giving them power, that's knowledge. When you are empowered, you gain knowledge. The old analogy was knowledge is power, but the new analogy is that knowledge is only potential power, but when you put the knowledge together to achieve a systematic goal, an actual goal, then that's power. So just having knowledge, information is not where this ends. You have to have a system to achieve that knowledge. And I think that's what you give in your system, what you do. I'm actually excited to have you, and I would love to see where this goes with our future podcast and what direction we go. Because I feel that the sky is the limit to how far you can put out this information.
I totally agree with your comment here, Ike. And I think to that point, touching base on well-being has to do with color perception, because color responds to light. Light is life. And the way how the light can hit certain color can create an adverse effect, or it can be emphasizing better effects. It's the speed of the light that goes through a natural tooth, and that's why we try to emulate as much as we can and try to enhance some of these principles with different type of materials. And I think, as I touched base on earlier, having all of these different formulas and these different porcelain that are made out of different crystals create a different speed of light reflection and reflectivity. That is what creates a smile that can be optimized in terms of looking extremely soft, extremely beautiful, vivacious, and we use opal, which is true opal porcelain. What it does is it changes color under different light spectrum, and that is emulating emotions. That's what a beautiful white smile can do, not just one color. This is where everybody wants to be today. They want to be looking younger and fresher. There is two ways to do it. And largely the regular way, which is monochromatic, one color, and the other way, where it's like a lot of intrinsic color. And all of that can be encompassed in one tooth that can be made as a custom shade. And I think that's the way to do it, as opposed to just pick a shade and just do whatever. And then the form also will create more femininity or more masculinity. The form will create softer, but it has to be created based on facial features. So all of these things together, you don't see it, but you will be the recipient of a feel. And that's what we're trying to do.
Wow, the feeling is the secret. It's all in the feeling. That's so true, because you let me, I can do an hour session of connecting the feelings and our thoughts and our perception, because that's what the confidence that you can get from just doing this thing right. Thoughts control our feelings, produces our result. Once you fixed your smile, you have pretty much, let me put it this way, you fast-tracked your affirmation by a few hours or years by fixing your smile, because you can either get confident from affirmations or repetitions or talking to yourself, or you can physically fix what needs to give you that sense of the thought, feelings, and actions. I guess what my point is, there's the spiritual part of the person, there's the physical, because we have mind, spirit, and body. And the way the mind works with the body, with your life energy, with your emotion. See, there's four things about a human being: your mind, your body, your emotions, and your life energies. There's a connection. The dentistry, you can fix the body, then you now go to the mind, you go to the emotions, you go to the life energy, boom, you explode. You can't just do anything.
You're
Those
just
things that you use.
describing something that is very powerful, which is a torus, and that's what that is. Yeah, it's about encompassing all of these forces together to become one and to really be, it's about well-being. It's about maximizing well-being. And again, the teeth are one part. There's a lot more than that. This is just a small indication of getting better, but it's all about self-perception as well. Get more. Demand more, be more, be successful.
I love that. Everything is in perspective now. Listen to my affirmations. Go to Blissful Daily Vibes on YouTube. You can find affirmations. And I'm giving away a lot of affirmations for free. You can download affirmations for money, for wealth, for stress, anxiety, for whatever emotions you're dealing with. I have affirmations for that. So we'll do that affirmations. We'll do this challenge. We'll come up with the whole idea. Dr. Devaud, we'll do this. And I think we can help humanity this way.
Yeah, I think so. And I think not everybody is born with beautiful teeth, right? And not everybody is born with beautiful skin or beautiful facial features or bodies. This is a huge industry. And why not aligning knowledge so you can pick and decide which direction you want to go as opposed to lose control.
Oh, wow. There you have it. Thank you, Dr. Devaud, for stopping by and dropping some nuggets of wisdom and understanding about dentistry. And on our next show, we will give you more details on how this whole thing will proceed. And one thing you didn't do at the beginning, I was asking, give us your titles, those degrees, those things that you're known for. You didn't say that. Were you shy to talk about your achievements or what? Give us your titles, exactly.
I don't do anything dentistry related from the clinical perspective. I am a master ceramist. That's the direction I've been going. And I did 4 years of studies in Switzerland and 2 years of specialty, a total of 6 years. Then I came here as a student, and I love dentistry. There was a lot more opening mindset here about beauty with Hollywood and music industry in LA, of course. I've had the opportunity to meet with a lot of different people and got involved. That's how from one patient to the next, we started working on optimizing people's smiles. I have a long list of people I worked with in Hollywood and in the music industry, and also people who want the very best. I mean, it's not just something that comes out of a box. It's something that needs to be carefully thought of. I'm a master ceramist. I'm a master technician. I've been teaching at universities of USC and UCLA and UOW and others. I've been written in International Journal of Aesthetic and Prosthetic Dentistry. I've been serving also as a consultant for different manufacturing aesthetic dentistry, materials, science, and so on and so forth. I've done some lecturing with different dentists, talking about how we work together as a team, etc. And I basically maintain a small office where I work at one patient at a time.
Amazing. I was just looking at your Instagram, Vincent Devaud _smile design. I'm seeing all those people, and this is just unbelievable. There's a lot of celebrities here that when you say celebrities, you're not just talking about the C, the D, the B list. You're talking about A-list celebrities. I see Brad Pitt on your site. This is amazing.
Yes, it's been a pleasure, and it's been an honor to work with lots of different people and trying to convey the dream or what they've been hoping to get. And again, this is not limited to them. It's limited to what people want. And everybody can have access to that. This is not impossible. This is not like unreachable. Everything is reachable. And again, look at long term. It's going to be with you for a very long time. We use the best technique, the best materials, the best technology. It's a blend of artistry and digital work. And sometimes we go back to the original way of doing things. It's like watchmaking, right? I'm from Switzerland, and there are watches they can buy. You put a battery and it'll give you the time, but it's worth nothing. It's functional versus a watch that would be custom made that is worth something.
That is so true. Is this you in the New York Times? When was this? 2019 or something?
Correct.
Can you just give us a small insight into that?
Yeah, that was a very interesting article, and it was actually driven at the time on, my understanding, it was the longest article ever written at the New York Times at the time. I haven't followed. I don't know if they may have done others. But the idea was talking about high-end aesthetics. And so they were picking different professionals, dentists and master ceramists. And we all have like our little spot where we could share what we felt about dentistry. I did the same thing with Dr. Oz as well. I was featured on his
talk show. Oh, wow.
no, on his magazine. not
Oh,
talk
on
show.
his magazine. Okay.
No, I'm a small guy.
Well,
I don't
you-
have that leverage. But it was interesting. It was an article that was driven apparently from the New York Times. They actually interviewed me about the meaning of patients who have what we call a space between the teeth.
Okay.
It's called when you have that space between your
Right,
two front
the
teeth,
gap
right?
teeth,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
It's called diastema. And how was the effect of aesthetic and emotions? And I talked about the emotions on that particular piece. And I said, it's not really how I feel, it's how people feel. They need to dig in and find out if this is something they want to change or not. And some people don't want to change it because it's who they are. It's give them the power and the uniqueness of their own personality. And we don't have to always have that perfect smile. I believe that perfect imperfecta is the most beautiful way of doing beautiful aesthetic, natural aesthetics.
Can you say that one more time?
Perfect imperfecta.
Perfect imperfecta.
What that means is your teeth don't look like they've been connected on a row. There is a slight difference. And if you study smiles of any celebrities, natural smile, not necessarily veneers, which a lot of people have today, rightfully including other people, but natural smile will show that there is slight differences, but they're very slight. They're not emphasized. And that's what creates a less linear look. Nothing in our body is perfect. Our face is not perfect. Studies have shown that. I think it's important to emulate that. And that's something that the patient can choose to do or not. And that's something that can be carried on and modified for the final, so they can preview that.
Okay. Very nice. As we wrap up, I would like to read the first sentence in this New York Times publication. It said, when that smile is too perfect. Alexa Vega, a 22-year-old actress, visited Vincent Devaud, a master ceramist in West Hollywood, California, a couture smile designer with an expertise in natural-looking veneers. Using 18 shades of porcelain, he texturized her top row veneers to resemble her real bottom row. I'll just stop there because the article is very interesting.
I was lucky that they picked me. There's other people that are very talented. This is something that people don't really know, that it does exist. And it is extremely important because this is in the end what you're going to look at. It's who worked on your smile, with which material and which understanding and expertise, as opposed to just next case and next case. So when you get something that is highly customized, of course, it's going to cost more, but it's going to look like amazing.
Wow. Okay, very good. You are a very humble man and sometimes too humble, which is good. But I'll say once you visit Dr. Vincent Devaud, you will definitely look at yourself differently. You will feel better. Your self-image will change, which will be the beginning of a lot of other things falling into place. Your self-confidence will go up. Your self-perception of yourself, the way you love yourself will improve. And once you love yourself better, you will love other people better. Your work will improve because you will be a much more pleasant person to be around. You are more confident in yourself. The energy will be felt around your work. Your whole life will change, basically. And that's what we're talking about here. Dr. Vincent, this is big.
I don't know,
big.
but thank you for giving me the opportunity. And the last thing I'd like to make as a comment, and you're absolutely right, it's going to self-enhance someone, is that the facial features start changing. When you take photos of somebody smiling before and after the treatment is done, what we have found is without any type of injection or any type of work done in the facial feature, the muscle are driven by the mind. So when you look at yourself and you like what you're looking at, you like yourself, you start to appreciate yourself.
Oh, wow.
This is the power. Your muscle will start to relax, and your lips and your eyes and your facial feature will start to look a lot more rested and a lot more at peace. And we have seen tremendous changes
Well, it sounds like it's worth spending that money, however much it costs.
It's not
It's well
necessarily
worth it.
a whole lot more than
Right.
what's out there. It's just it depends because it's more focus driven in perception. And some patients don't have to do it. Some patient can say, hey, I want this. This is the beauty of it. You can go and can say, hey, this is the menu. I understand what it is. And I want this and that. And we can set it up this way if we feel that this is the right thing for the patient. Sometimes we can say, well, if you want to do a revision, we can do a revision here. So the patient is really on the driver's seat.
Right.
And sometimes the patients don't want to accept the fact that there's a certain type of procedure that needs to be done. And that could be something that may work against them. So we want to make sure that they are on board so they don't come back later and say, hey, I wish you would have told me. It's all about providing the proper guidance and the proper information
Correct.
forward. And then whatever the patient decide, it's whatever they decide. But we always make a point to be affirmative of certain things that needs to be done. But in the end, it's not about us. It's all about patient decision-making, empowering them with decision-making.
Amazing. Let me wrap up by saying that they say for your body to be pleasant, if your body is pleasant, we call that health. If it is very pleasant, we call that pleasure. If your mind is pleasant, we call it as peace. If it is very pleasant, we call it joy. If your emotions are pleasant, we call it love. If they're very pleasant, we call it compassion. If your life energies are pleasant, we call that bliss. If they're very pleasant, we call that ecstasy. If your surroundings are pleasant, we call that success. In order to have success, you need the cooperation of many forces. There's a lot of factors involved. But for your body, your mind, your emotions, and your life energy to be pleasant, you only need the cooperation of one person, and that is you. Make the choice. You know what you have to do to be pleasant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ike. It's been very insightful and a pleasure having this opportunity to share some of my thoughts with you and the audience. Again, on a last note, what I do is what I do, and the patient can go to any dentist and say, hey, they don't have to come to me. They can say, hey, this is what I have to ask you. So hopefully it'll empower them and they'll have better understanding of who they're with and what they want, as opposed to backtrack later on when it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vincent.
Thank you.